on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So today is Saturday. Welcome back to the channel. Having a look at what is going on, Bitcoin is down 2.8%. We actually fell about 5% when we got to the end of the wedge. We were looking for a breakout, a little bit more of a breakdown. But it was only down to about $11,155 over here on futures. You can see we wicked back up, and currently we're still finding ourselves range bound in this same exact trading zone. So that's what I want to talk about. How long can we actually stay in this zone before we have another major move? I mean, was that the major move that we were waiting for? 5%? I don't really think that was it, guys. So I want to have a look at some of these key resistances and also supports, okay? Because yesterday when I put my video out, a lot of people were being very bullish, and we knew we were going to have a major move. So that was why I basically said, Bitcoin about to explode, be careful, right? Because there was that chance that we were going to come down and touch some of these lower levels. Now, I'm not talking doom or gloom. I don't think we're going to be going all the way down to these ridiculously low levels, but I do think that we might have some more consolidation moving forward, all right? So we're going to look into that today. I also want to talk about what's going on with the Litecoin dust attacks that could affect you if you own Litecoin. I want to talk about that. And also Binance for USA has basically come out and said the coins that they're going to list in Binance America, the ones that they're looking at. So that could be pretty interesting, for my US subscribers out there. And if that sounds good to you, well, you know what to do. Also, if you're not subscribed to the Crypto Zombie channel, well, we do this every single day. And as you guys know, Monday is always the Ledger Nano S giveaway if you comment on any video, and then we do a random drawing, okay? So having a look at coin market cap, let's give it a quick refresh live. Bitcoin dominance is at 69.3%, so actually kind of pulled back a little bit on coin market cap. Now, scrolling down here, you also notice that, for example, Tether is even down 0.16%. So what is going on here? Well, if we switch it to the Bitcoin comparative, surprisingly, most of these altcoins didn't actually take as bad of a hit. And I personally actually thought that the altcoins would have got hit just as hard, if not a little bit harder, if Bitcoin took a hit. But surprisingly, they haven't. I know some people are probably getting really excited about that with the altcoins, but, let's take this with a grain of salt. Let's see what's going on. So looking at the biggest gainers, we have Agrisha up yet again, 10%, Nano, Clippercoin, Bytecoin, Educare, Cosmos, Augur, Mixin, and Ravencoin all doing quite well. Fear and Greed still sitting around 59.60, so nothing really too much to report on there, but you see yesterday, we had declining volume, right? And we were getting to the end of the wedge, and lo and behold, we fell to the downside. So we knew we were going to be having a move of some sort. And you can see right here, what I really wanted to point out was we finally had that volume. So as soon as that volume spiked, we broke right out of it, and unfortunately it was to the downside, but you can see we had this wick back here on August 6th, and that was pretty much where we touched exactly down to that $11,184 level. So that did sort of provide short-term support. Now, having a look at what happened to this giant wedge that we had way back here, well, we had the purple line, which was the resistance, flipped support, and we were just getting squeezed into this tiny region. We finally broke down, but here's the interesting thing. We currently found ourselves supported yet again by the previous resistance of this purple downwards trend. So if we look at this major level here at around 10,000, let's just call it 11,000. Okay, instead of 10,998, at about 11,000, we notice we're in this critical zone right here. So we're looking at this major support at around $11,000, and then we're also looking at this newly found resistance that we kept putting in here pretty much starting around August 6th, okay? So I would say pretty much looking at, to be honest, the end of August. I mean, we could be looking at a consolidation. It could happen for the next, 2.5 weeks. So I just wanted to point that out. Will we continue to consolidate that long? Well, I mean, give it some time. We just had a move. We have to see where we go moving forward, right? But if you look at this parabolic advance, I mean, yes, we spring way up off it. We fall down, but eventually we tend to get supported by this, with the exception of right here, but we didn't stay down there for very long. So I would say that, the trend is your friend until the end, right? And currently we are being supported by this. So even if we were to fall straight down, you're probably looking at about a $10,460 Bitcoin. So I don't see any major damaging dumps anytime soon, but the whales will play their game. So we'll have to play it safe. So you can see right here, we are in this ascending channel. Now, currently, you have this trend line in the middle, which sort of flips back and forth between resistance and support. Obviously, it was acting as mostly resistance here. Then it became somewhat support while we were up here in these super, super high levels, fell back down, and currently it's acting as resistance again. So once again, looking at the trend line, if we were to fall straight down on this trend line, okay, then that would put us at around the $10,000 level, but I don't think we're going to fall straight down. We're most likely going to put in something, more of like a sideways pattern, or we'll do something like this, and then that'll probably bring us to that, $11,000 level, which is a very important level that we've been looking at, right? So having a look at all of the levels, because I wanted to just break it down, a lot of people are like, well, what are all these different levels you're looking at? These are them, guys, right here. And you could see that we were literally supported by that $11,200 level right here, which was acting as a lot of support back during this major, crazy volatile run-up period that we had back here. So, well, what happens now? If we find ourselves in the blue box zone, then if we were to fall below $10,800, that would put us down into this cyan range down here and then down into the red. You can see all the different levels. These are levels we've been talking about for over a month on the channel. But yeah, you can also see we do have this giant wedge right here. So as we continue to consolidate, there is a chance that Bitcoin either gets supported by this trend or the bottom trend. So yeah, currently we're still consolidating in my opinion. What happened yesterday overnight, that was just a little mini consolidation pattern. We got stomped down by the overall resistance, and now we're maybe looking to go test some of these lower levels in the upwards trend. Very normal. This is basically what's to be expected. So yeah, those are some of the levels that we're looking at. Hopefully that helps you guys out. You do notice that Bitcoin dominance is still over 70% according to TradingView. It's actually sitting at around 70.76%. But like I said, the altcoins did not get hit as hard today. So that's something that we should pay attention to. Everybody's looking for this new alt season. Well, let's pay attention. Let's see what they're doing. Once again, friendly reminder, as Rhythm Trader said, hodling Bitcoin has been profitable for 3,817 days out of the total 3,869 days. That's a 98.66% chance in Bitcoin's history that had you bought, you would be up. So you can basically see right here, we've shown this chart before, but essentially this would be the two areas where it would have been not profitable to buy Bitcoin, right? But having a look at this, like I said, I still think that anything under, well, it's $13,837, but really anything under $14,000 is a blessing, in my opinion, because you can see right here, like we said, where we had the wick close on the December high, the candle close, that's where we wicked on our, candle right here when we hit that high. So basically that is the level to beat. That is the level that we're looking at. We could bounce around here a little bit lower, but I want to point out one thing, okay? This is why you have to zoom out. You cannot get caught up on these little 4-hour daily charts. And listen, I'm just as guilty of it. We get excited. We're all looking at these charts every day, right? Let's be real. It's either going to go up, it's going to go down, or it's going to stay the same, right? Not really a very exciting thing. So having a look here, though, what is exciting to me is looking at what happened the last time we started our parabolic run in 2017. And I want to just look at the monthly candles, okay? Instead of looking at the daily or the hourly, right? Look at these monthly candles. Now you could see, starting back here on April 1st of 2017, we put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green candles, and then we put in a red candle. And that red candle was followed by a subsequent pump all the way up with 3 candles to the all-time high, okay? Now, if we look over here, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green candles, just like we did back here in the original run-up, and then we put in a red candle month. Well, that's what we did for July. Now, currently in August, we are putting in another green candle. So really, I think that this short-term movement isn't that big of a deal when you look at the grand scheme of things. If we just go here, from the open, not from the open, if you just look, we'll go from the open. You could see that was a 36% drop that we had back there. And having a look at what we had here from the candle all the way down to the drop, Well, that was about a 34-35% drop. So currently, everything is playing out just the way it should. And if we have a look at what Bitcoin did the next month from the bottom of the wick, well, we had a 377% pump all the way to the all-time high, which is exactly why we were talking about the 250% to 300% pumps if Bitcoin was to basically emulate what gold did back in 2008. So that is basically the situation moving forward. But how funny is this? So Deutsche Bank puts this out. This is 2 days ago. I just noticed this. It's National Dollar Day. So it says in 1786, Congress established the U.S. monetary system and introduced the dollar. In today's money, $1 from 1791 would be equivalent to $27.60 today. So basically, inflation. So basically, you guys just put out an ad for Bitcoin without even realizing it. So thank you, Deutsche Bank. We appreciate it. But having a look at this, I thought this was interesting. So Mark Cuban came out and basically said that he hates gold. He absolutely loathes gold. He said it's useless. And he compared Bitcoin to gold as well. So here I am thinking to myself, well, he's going to come out and say Bitcoin is useless. But he actually had somewhat of a nice thing to say. So I just wanted to play this clip super quick.
As an investment, okay, you're right. Hate is not strong enough. Hate with extreme prejudice as an investment.
Oh gosh. Okay, so Bitcoin and gold on the same level for you.
Both collectibles.
Okay.
The value is based off of supply and demand. And the good news about Bitcoin is there's a finite supply that'll ever be created. And the bad news about gold is they'll keep on mining more.
Well, Goldman Sachs says that we only have 20 years left of mineable gold.
Well, then in 20 years we could have another conversation.
So you don't see gold as money then?
No, I do not see it as an alternative to currency, no.
So he's basically against gold. He's lumping Bitcoin in the same category, but he's saying that if I had to take a bet, Bitcoin's probably the better one because it has a finite amount, right? And we have the halving event that's coming up in May and everything else. So kind of an interesting statement from Mark Cuban. Let me know what you guys think about that below. But speaking about gold, did you guys see this tweet that also came out 2 days ago? But he said, since June 19th, favorable press weakened in global currency and stock markets, falling interest rates, and a 10% rise in gold price have provided ample reasons for Bitcoin speculators to buy. Yet Bitcoin's price fell 15%. Hodlers should wonder who's been selling and why. And we had Francis Pouliot over here. Now, he's from Bull Bitcoin, and he said that he claims it fell by 15%. This is weird because the market data facts are easy to verify, and it's very obvious that he is wrong. Trauma from the guilt of leading his followers away from unfathomable wealth since 2018 taking its toll. He says, you, sir, are lying. Bitcoin has increased 2,000 per coin. And finally, Peter Schiff said, you're right, I got something wrong on Bitcoin. It's down 15% from its June 26 high. So at least he admitted he made a mistake. But you can see Nick Szabo says, I see that Mr. Schiff has mastered the fine art of cherry picking. How about we compare with gold using gold's last peak? So that's the thing, right? For everybody saying that Bitcoin is a terrible store of value, comparing it at the all-time high of 20K, of course it doesn't look that great. But zoom out, have a look at the picture. You can honestly see what's going on in the background. And even if you don't want to talk about financially, what's going on with just the prices, fundamentally, hash rate is still going up, okay? You are seeing the miners turning on their ASICs. The blockchain is the strongest it has ever been in the history of its existence. These are all very good. Oh, and really quick, I just wanted to let you know, we finally found out why Jack from Twitter has been mentioning Lightning Network so much, and I'm going to just let Roger Ver explain that for you guys right now.
I think that the reason Jack Dorsey of Twitter is so hot for Lightning and Lightning Labs and doing promotion with Elizabeth Stark is I suspect that there's a romantic relationship there. Or there was a romantic relationship. That's my spicy thought of the day. No, I don't have any evidence to back that up. It's just a suspicion. Everything would make so much more sense if they were in some sort of a romantic relationship. And that's why Jack is busy promoting her Lightning Lab company, because otherwise, why would he care at all? And so I suspect that that's what's going on there.
So let me know what you guys think. Is the only reason that the CEO of Twitter is interested in the Lightning Network is because he's secretly having a juicy, spicy, romantic relationship with Elizabeth Stark? Let me know. I'm going to drop a poll for this one. All right, moving on. Coinbase's professional platform, Coinbase Pro, is going to list Algorand. So lots of speculation about the different tokens. Matic was pumping, Harmony was pumping. Well, looks like Algorand was the one that they chose to go with. And Algorand is up 12.9%. 14.42%, so looks like the word is spreading. If you got in on that one, well, congratulations. So that was that situation. Now, speaking of coins that are getting listed, Binance US. What are we exploring? Well, they have all this different criteria down here, whether trading candidate asset will affect Binance US's ability to comply with applicable legal requirements, whether the asset's core team has a clear strategy, whether the community has a record of reaching compromises and consensuses, whether the asset's market supply and demands are reasonably fair, and whether the candidate's asset is technologically secure to transact with or realistically build upon. And you can see right here, we have Cardano, Cosmos, Basic Attention, Bitcoin Cash, Binance, Bitcoin Dash, EOS, Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, Holo, IOTA, Chainlink, Loom Network, Litecoin, Decentraland, Nano, Neo, Paxos, Augur, Ravencoin, TrueUSD, USDC, Tether, VeChain, Waves, Stellar, XRP, Zilliqa, and 0x. Now, this doesn't mean that they're all going to be listed. These are just the ones that they're looking for. So, US citizens probably looking to buy into altcoins that might have a better alt season compared to some of the other alternatives. Well, these might be the ones you'd want to look at if you're looking to buy some altcoins. Not financial advice, but my hunch is these would be the ones that would do well when alt season started, okay? So that basically is that situation. I also wanted to just make a quick statement to anyone out there holding Litecoin. Approximately 5 hours ago, a little bit more than 5 hours ago, actually, this post is old, there was a large-scale dusting attack on Litecoin users. So basically, you could see over here, all of these accounts were blessed with these very, very small amounts of Litecoin, so essentially just dust, right? You barely even notice that it was sent to your wallet. So essentially, scammers do this so that users won't really notice that they've been hit with a dust attack. And essentially what they do is they use these small amounts to trace you. The goal is to eventually be able to link the dusted addresses and wallets to their respective companies or individuals. If successful, the attackers may use this knowledge against their targets, either through elaborate phishing attacks or cyber extortion threats. So they usually try to target people with lots of Litecoin, okay, bigger accounts, but small accounts can be targeted as well. Be careful about phishing links. Don't click on any link that you're not sure about, especially if it comes from a weird email. I have scammers impersonating me. One of them is cryptozombietips@gmail.com. That's not me, so just be careful, guys. They also say that since dusting attacks rely on combined analysis of multiple addresses, if dust is not moved, then it makes it difficult for attackers to actually, trace you. Some wallets out there actually have a feature where it has like a do not spend. I know, for example, Samurai Wallet, they have that feature as well. But if you come over here and look at the real Zinzi, he says, I just received a tiny Litecoin deposit, which is so-called dust. Thanks for that. Dust attack is generally not a threat. No need to panic. He says, I tend to ignore dust attacks. Anyone saying that dust attacks is a serious problem is pretty much spreading FUD. So just be careful. Ultimately, you basically just got some free Litecoin, okay? But be careful with the links that you might receive if they're trying to follow you. You guys know phishing, right? We've gone over phishing links before. Yeah, if you guys aren't familiar with it, I do have a tutorial on safety and different ways you can protect yourself. So I guess I'll drop that above. If you guys are interested, you can check that out. But finally, ending on some good news. Want to end on some good news today. A small bank in New York City has started doing business with cryptocurrency firms, joining the very short list of U.S. financial institutions to embrace the sector. So Quantic Bank opened a checking account for a Bitcoin ATM company a few weeks ago and is in the process of completing a contract to deliver banking services to another startup. Now, they wouldn't name them. They gave them their privacy, but they did say, we're just taking steps so that when the regulatory environment becomes more crypto friendly, we don't have a lot of catching up to do. Now, this is according to the chief executive, Steven Schnell. He says, we're looking to diversify our product offering and our customer mix by entering into that field. So while he wouldn't say how big he wants Quantic's crypto business to be, he claimed the pending contract could impact millions of Americans. So on that note, I think that's where we will leave it. Also, shout out to yesterday. That was hilarious. I was like, go outside, enjoy your day, stop refreshing your Blockfolio. Let's have a look at the prices. So it's so funny how it's just so robotic over here. Speaking of, let's have a look at the prices. So we're sitting at around $11,374. So yeah, that's pretty much where we were at the beginning of the video. So like I said, guys, we do have our key levels here. Okay, if you want, take a screenshot. Here you go. But essentially, this is what we're looking at. Currently, we are staying above the $11,200 level. That is the level to maintain. Falling into the blue box region, then the level where it would put us into no man's land would be about 10,800. So those are the lower levels short term. You guys already know the moon boy levels. You know the moonshot levels. So these are the short term levels. But all I could say, more opportunity to dollar cost average. I will take it. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Everyone that's been liking, subscribing, and commenting, you guys rock. Also, thank you to everybody that's been using the referral link, supporting the channel. Also, friendly reminder, there's only a few more